are on the page. With me, I have some fabulous guests, Dicejunkies. You want to introduce yourselves?
Oh yeah, I'm Zeno from Dicejunkies, and this is my crew. We got
Q and Blood Axe.
And what do you guys do?
well, we do YouTube, Twitch, here at cons, all that wonderful stuff. We do a lot of interviews, similar to some of the stuff you do with the interviews. We do interviews as well, gaming, just anything geek culture related. That is us.
And where are we today?
We're at CoastCon 44 in Biloxi, Mississippi.
CoastCon 44!
CoastCon!
And unfortunately, it's Sunday, so
Yeah,
it's the last
So
day.
we're gonna Photoshop and get our editor Blood Axe to put in some clapping.
I mean, there's that, but
There's
they're
no one here
just
to
being
actually
real
do
respectful. There's this massive audience y'all can't see behind the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. See, you hear that?
There we
Listen to that. Yeah. I mean, and it's growing by the moment. So look at that.
Yeah,
It just doubled in size. Our
There we
audience.
go.
we
We
just,
got
we just
triple.
doubled our
Triple.
audience just from that.
Yeah, it's
Just that
funny.
line.
Q once famously said that you guys are editor's worst nightmare, and he's absolutely correct.
And we just come up with things and be like, well, don't worry, the editor's got that. And they're just sitting there like, what?
Fix it in post, man. Fix it in post.
Fix it.
I am fairly sure that
Half the time we're live, and we're like, fix it.
my editor doesn't have to edit too much out of mine, as I practice so much, and because I want to get it perfect.
I'm jealous.
She's a
I mean,
Jim
he's had to
Mulvihill's
edit a few
professor.
things, like I get tongue-tied and like.
Oh no, we leave those in.
No, it's the lack of preparation. We just wing it so much. Like, we got to plan for this. No, we
I
don't.
was going to save it for later, but me and Zeno have got into arguments live.
Yes,
We're
yes,
like
we have.
mad at each other, like man, blah blah.
I
I'm like,
punched him live on Twitch.
Oh my god!
yeah, I punched him back
on
live.
the shoulder, but
Oh,
it was,
okay.
Between
he deserved it.
when you punching him and him hugging you, yeah, we have some physical
Yeah.
Oh, I
contact
jumped
on
him
this.
real good. Yeah, I will grab him. Yeah, just to,
Well, let's not steal your show. You have some good
Well, no,
things to talk about,
I was
right?
just going to tell you, I got to interview a few 10 fabulous guests. And then you can tell me about who you guys got to interview that were really cool. So I got to interview Sherilyn McQueen, also known as Sherilyn Kenyon. And let me tell you what a beautiful lady she is. She used a phone. It was a brand new phone. She had not ever used it. We helped her get it all set up and everything. And she had no makeup on. That woman is so beautiful. She never has to wear makeup.
Nice.
And she finally has all her books back up. If you go to her website, Sherilyn McQueen, all her books are back up. She does the Dark Hunter series. Woo. Oh my God. Woo!
I take it it's not
you
YA.
fangirling a bit over
I
there.
take it
No,
it's not
it's
YA.
steamy. It's some steamy stuff. Let me tell you, that woman can write.
Nice.
I got to interview John Mangus. He's an actor. Did you guys get to meet John? He was at CoastCon a couple of times.
I don't think we've met him
Well,
directly.
he's an actor and he's a film director, screenwriter. Really a brilliant man. Very, very intelligent.
Awesome.
And I love talking with him. Scott J. Carroll. I don't know what that man hasn't done.
Sounds like us.
He's an actor, a director, a talk show host, an author. I mean, the list is he's hilarious. L.A. Story is an author. She is so beautiful. Her and I go way back. I can't say anything bad about any of these people. Nevada Bar. I don't know if you know.
legally.
And no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't because I love them all.
NDA.
Nevada Bar. I love Nevada Bar. I started reading her a long time. She writes murder mysteries. She used to be a park ranger.
Okay.
And so she started writing these murder mysteries for every national park that she was in. And it's really cool because not only is she's promoting the park as well as she has this really good writing.
Okay.
Michael West, one of my favorite horror authors.
Yeah, I think I'm familiar with
Michael West,
now.
yeah, Poseidon's Children.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. I love him.
I'm gonna check that out. I'm a big horror buff. I used to run through-
Definitely.
I've read like everything from every single Stephen King and Dean Koontz, even the Tower series, and that took
That
like 2
It probably took you
years to
forever.
read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you'll like
That's
Michael
massive.
West. You should pick him up.
Yeah, your next one is the one I'm interested in, actually.
I think you might have met this beautiful lady.
There you go.
Oh, we haven't.
Yeah, what you
But
project
thank you.
better.
Oh, okay.
That was
thank you.
the mic on the camera piece you up better.
As head of ops.
It's your job.
been done.
It's your job. Thank you so. Oh, don't do that.
By the way, can I have
Oh.
a cup of coffee?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I love that. There it was. There was a look. He gave a look back like, what?
The next guest I got to interview, and I think you've met this lovely lady, is Katie Wood,
Yes.
and I think you got to interview her.
We interviewed her yesterday, and I loaded the video last night. It was a wonderful interview, and she talked about some of the mythos that I wasn't familiar with, and even captured Q's attention about the Norwegian mythos and how they have different elements that they use as far as what they believe in, and the way she incorporates that into her supernatural writing. A little more steamy than what you write.
Oh,
But,
a lot more steamy than what I write.
I believe her preferred word is the spice. The spice.
Yeah.
Spice.
So, but yeah, she was a wonderful interview. Loved talking with her. Hope to be able to meet with her again at a future convention. But yes, even we're interested in maybe picking up some of her. She has a trilogy that she had written out. It was like The Unloved. I can't remember the other
Yes.
two, but
I
yeah.
love new mythos, man, and I've read paranormal romance just because the lore was that accurate. It's amazing. Some people think that those novels are just for the spice, but some, like KD, like seriously know their stuff.
Yeah, she studied the Norwegian, the New Zealand mythology for like a decade, but then she began writing on it.
Was
So
that the one
10
that
years.
spurred the questionable mermaid sex and stuff?
No, that would be Michael.
Oh,
That would be Michael West.
Okay.
And
yeah.
that was
actually,
a
that's a very steamy and strange scene that he wrote, and he said it was even strange for him to write. No, Katie, her sex scenes are so organic and natural. Unlike when you read some of these other
You said organic?
organic.
Organic. Oh, I heard something else.
Yeah.
That's it. The audience did too.
PG-13. No, it's like sometimes when people write these books, they just throw in the sex just so that's
their sex.
It's sex, yeah. But hers is just—it's very natural. It's part of the story, and so that what makes me appreciate her writing. So
Yeah, if you watch the interview with her, she kind of goes into more detail about how she comes to those scenes in her books, the way the characters are developed, intertwined, and it was really fascinating. So definitely go check that out.
yeah, definitely.
And also don't forget to look for her books too as well.
Yeah, and so another guest I had was John Hartness, and if you haven't read John Hartness has like 1 million books.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and he is hilarious. That guy is one of my mentors. He is hilarious because I was sitting at a table with him at a convention one time, and there were some people walking by, and he goes, "Hey, come here, buy my shit." I am not kidding you, and do you know they bought it? They bought like 2 books.
I would not. I'd have to. Somebody's
He's
willing to
just
look at
got
me and
this
go, come buy my
charisma.
stuff. Right.
He has just got this charisma. I mean, he talked more than that, but I mean,
Well, yeah.
he has this absolute charisma that just people love him. So he was.
Well, as your mentor, he has clearly passed some on to you, Jen, because you are one of our favorites.
Thank you. Oh, you guys are so sweet.
How many of her books have you read?
Yeah.
I said she was one of my favorites. I didn't say anything about an author. I said she has charisma.
Last night you were waiting to get the copies from him so you could read them, but he hasn't passed them on.
That was Rob's.
That's Rob. Keep it together.
Oh, Rob, okay.
He's new.
I didn't drink that much last night. You, however, didn't say.
Melody Romeo. She also writes under Dele Lane. But I met her at Melody Romeo a long time ago. She wrote this book called Vlad. She actually went to where's the vampire at? My brain just went blank.
What?
Transylvania. Yeah, she actually
Oh.
went to Transylvania for research and everything.
On
and
Vlad
she,
Dracon?
and she wrote
awesome.
Vlad, and it's a
Son
really
of
good
a
book. But
dragon.
she also writes some other things under the name Dele Lane, and she's a good friend of mine from way back. The cool thing is when I finally established myself as an author, all of these people just like took me into the fold and like, oh, okay, you're a writer, come talk to me, and they share their knowledge with me, and I love it. I've learned so much from all of these people. The last interview I did was Michael Williams. Okay, up and coming film director. This young man is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I told him so, and I made him blush.
Charisma.
Yeah. The first movie I ever saw, it's not the first movie he ever did, but the first movie I ever saw was called The Atoning. Now, and it's a horror flick. I am good at figuring out what's going to happen. I mean, that's just, I see it coming. And I know what's going to happen, or, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what's going to happen. Oh, don't go there, girlfriend. No, you know what's going to happen. You go down that basement.
The tropes.
I did not see what was coming in this one.
Nice.
I was pleasantly surprised when the reveal came, and I was like, whoa, I did not see that coming. That is so cool.
It's so rare, too.
It is. And so then I had to watch it again to see if there were signs, and there were.
Ooh,
But they were so
now you
subtle.
got me.
I missed them. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So then I went and saw I watched his first movie, which is called Osland. Now, you all know I'm a big Wizard of Oz fan. I am like,
It's amazing.
Really?
yeah. Oh,
I have
big
to
time.
share a story offline that we got regarding the Return to Oz.
We don't talk about it, man.
No. Once the statute of limitations has passed, then I'll publish it for the public. But I have an interesting story for you regarding Return to Oz.
Well, the movie Osland, it was his first film, so it's not perfect, but the videography is beautiful, and the storyline is, to me, very profound. And so it doesn't really have anything to do with the Land of Oz, but it kind of does. And it's just these two travelers in a post-apocalyptic world. So it's just these two guys through the whole movie. But it's a thinker. It's a thinker.
Nice.
That was
Yeah.
fascinating.
So
Yes.
anyway, so those are the people that I got to interview. And I'm curious, I know you guys have interviewed a lot of people, but is there anyone who really stands out in your mind that
Well, we've had several interviews, especially during the lockdown, because the conventions were just not happening at all for 2 years. So I did most of the legwork to go hunt down some people.
You're going to continue to as well.
I will continue to do so.
This is your lot in life.
I've been networking here and trying to work with some very interesting folks. But the first interview that I landed was with Marissa Linty. She's a voice actor for different anime, which I knew nothing about. I had to rely on Q and Xeno. But I'm also geek out more than they do. The reason I reached out to her because of her video game voices from characters I played. And she was a very interesting interview.
Absolutely entertaining.
Yeah.
We were going through her anime filmography and just having a ball, going over it. That was a nice start. I will give her a lot of appreciation for starting off our interview process of going like, you know what? Because we will go like, you know how we are. We're very casual.
yeah.
And we were kind of worried. It's like, if people go to flow with our style of off the script,
Yeah.
and it turns out they love it.
Well, because our interview style, what we try to tell everybody whenever they come do an interview with us, it's conversation with friends or at a bar. We don't have a list of questions. We have like
No.
okay, he has a list of
I have
questions
a list.
that we don't.
They
ask.
ignore it.
We should ask this. And I'm like, I like that you keep trying.
Yeah.
It's fifth interview. He's
Because
still
we keep
trying.
telling them our interview style too. We're like, dude, we don't do that.
I
And
did my
he's just like,
research.
but I need
So
structure like an editor. He needs
pulling
structure,
back the
but-
curtain, I research all their interviews. I know what their first gig was. I know what they're most famous for. I look at what their upcoming projects are, and I have a structured format that I want to start off with this and work my way down. And they let me try for the first two.
We let them
then-
start.
And then after they were like, "You're gonna ask this boring shit?" I'm like, "Yeah." Okay, screw that. Hey, we're gonna ask you about this. I'm like, okay. And I just kind of back up a little bit, and I'll interject when I can. But I
So
think,
you're like me. That's how I was
Yeah,
doing it.
exactly.
I had to
But
listen.
my favorite one was actually solo because they had to use
That was a
FaceTime.
really good one. I gotta give him credit.
And
for-
Because it was all
Yeah.
FaceTime via iPhone and tablet, they couldn't participate. It was with Carolyn Seymour,
yeah.
Okay.
who has been in Star Trek. She's done voices for Star Wars. She was Queen Mira in the Gears of War series. wonderful, wonderful actress, wonderful lady. And I talked to her for over an hour. And I had to cut a lot of it out because we went down so many rabbit holes. She was so personable. She's talking about her dogs, and we talked about my kids. She asked about my wife and how we met. So I had to edit a lot of that out.
Wow, yeah.
Because nobody wants to hear about me. They want to hear about her. But I've gotten more comments on those videos than any of the other ones combined.
Yeah, it's pretty popular.
I think one of the more interesting ones was with Alan Dean Foster, who wrote Splinter of the Mind's Eye. He's a very accomplished author. He's written everything from
Big Star Wars.
Star Wars, Star Trek. He's done stuff for Aliens, which is my favorite film franchise of all time. And we discussed his lawsuit with Disney for what he could discuss because of the dispute regarding royalty payments once Disney purchased Lucasfilm. And they're like, well, we didn't purchase the contracts, and so they had to work all those logistics out. So we talked to him about a week or two after they settled that.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a very interesting man. He even had a special beer for me that he showed on screen. But he was interesting, and not to mention,
He also made fun of Q, so that was
Yeah.
always fun.
He loved that.
but I think the one I'm most proud of is hasn't been nearly as good as much is with Tim Rose. He was a puppeteer for Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
He did Salacious Crumb. He did Sliced Noodles, which was the dancer with the long snout in Jabba's palace. But he's most famous for doing the puppeteering for Akbar. And when he goes to cons, I asked him, what's the most common thing they ask you autograph? He goes, it's a trout. And I said, well, I mean, that's kind of easy. He goes, well, it's better than, how can we possibly fight an installation with that magnitude? I'm like, fair enough.
It's a trap.
He told us all kinds of stories from his time on The Dark Crystal, which was way ahead of its time. I don't think it gets the justice that it should, but when I saw it,
One of my favorites.
yeah, I saw it in theater as a kid, and I was just blown away by it. He worked on Return to Oz. He did Howard the Duck, which was a very interesting series. What's wrong? You okay?
I'm sorry.
I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were just going on and on about how it was at the panel with Mike Dixon, and they were talking about how was it you talking about Howard the Duck, Rafe? Yeah. So we have a great interview with him talking about his experience on Howard the Duck, and he told us some interesting stuff on Return to Oz, which I can't publish because he asked us not to.
That's fine.
But I will talk to you privately offline.
That is one of the issues with the whole once we get them comfortable in that bar talk situation.
A lot of stuff comes out.
A lot of times, stuff comes out, and we have to go. Well,
we've been asked to edit out a lot. Yeah. Like, they're like, "Oh, don't tell anybody I said that."
When they go off the deep end on something like, "I still want to work, so can you please not publish that?" Yes, I will honor your request. So, but yeah, it's.
That's cool.
If you don't mind, I'd like to cover my favorite.
Go ahead.
I will say this before you do that.
decide.
We do, before our interviews, I usually go over this with the people they're doing the interviews with, that we are very open with cutting anything out they say. That way we don't have to worry about conversation flow getting broke up while they're trying to worry about what they can or can't say.
It's a good idea.
They can have the conversation, and then afterwards, like I said at the beginning, we're like, we'll cut anything out that you say that you don't want.
And by we mean bloodhounds.
Right.
Yeah. We basically tell them we don't get political, and we will go as spicy as you're willing to go. Language, if you don't want us to curse, we'll hold back. But if you're open with your language, we're just as open as you are. You're not going to offend us. Actually, we'll probably offend you.
I'm shocked how many people we have found out are really okay with language. Like you would not expect the person you're talking to be like, "Oh, okay, well, blah blah, beep beep beep."
I don't think anybody. The only person who ever said they didn't want language, I think, was the guy from Mandalorian.
Pace.
Columbia.
Dominic Pace.
Dominic Pace. Yeah, he was one of the.
He didn't from his hotel room. He Skyped in from his hotel room.
Oh, wow.
He was one of the bounty hunters in The Mandalorian. So in
Okay.
season 1, he was in episodes 1 and 3, and he was the right hand man next to Griff Karga, who was kind of the head boss who's handing out all the bounties,
Right.
played by Carl Weathers.
Okay.
He was going on a comic book tour to try to get his.
And a lot of
independent
kids are
comic
going to be
Yeah.
so.
Oh, I got that. Yeah.
So because we never saw him die on screen, so he's still hoping they will bring back Gecko was the name of the character.
Mhm.
Bring him back because being the right hand of the boss puts you into an important position if you're going to be positioned that way on screen.
Yeah.
And we never saw his death. So, but yeah, he was a very passionate interview. He's very passionate about what he does.
And who was one of you were going to say one?
Oh, it's just
one of you?
being this is one he got for me, because you've been grabbing these voice actors, and I had a favorite character on Gears of War 5, Lizzie Carmine, and he got Sarah Amalie. And that was one of my favorites just because he got her because I am a massive fan. And there were two characters I wanted. We couldn't get Coltrane's voice actor, but we got Lizzie.
Yeah.
And I geeked out. And it was funny because he's trying to talk to her about her other roles, and I'm just sitting back there like, I want to talk about Gears. I want to talk about Gears. And then finally he goes, now he's going, he looks at her and goes, and now Q's going to geek out about Lizzie.
I will say, I think that's the first time I ever saw Q sort of be a fanboy. Because when we run around doing Dicejunkies, we usually try not to fanboy out, because we're trying to do interviews and stuff like that. And so it did show a side, I think, of Q that I had to say. I was just like, are you fanboying?
I love the character, and she looks like the character. She sounds like the character,
Oh, wow.
and I was joking with her, and she did it's her real laugh, and it's now like something we play. Like
So if y'all
like
want
she
to hear
did
it,
that.
I've got it from when my wife texts me.
Oh, how funny.
I've got that as my alert. If I can.
Yeah, and I mean it's her real laugh because I got her laughing, and she did the laugh, and I was just like, oh, that is your, and she started laughing. It goes. Because I wanted her to do it, and I wanted her to do it.
Very well.
Okay,
Here, put it
so
up to
hit
the
the
mic.
mic.
So we go. Oh, hang on, one more. So we go
And that's
here.
her real laugh, and I was just shocked that I was like,
That's so
okay, that
cute.
is her genuine laugh.
It's adorable.
It's awesome. I don't care. I love Adorkable, and that is the coolest laugh. And I actually fanboyed out because the only way I would have looked worse is that he probably would have been ashamed of me if we could have got Coltrane.
Well, there was one time you did kind of back up, which I thought was really interesting, and that was with Angel Desai. She is a screen actress, very beautiful Asian woman, and he has an affinity for Asian culture, and she
I became bashful. I couldn't help it.
Yeah, she
Angel
did.
Desai is a beautiful woman and talented, and I actually got nervous.
Sometimes I wonder about the people I work with.
She's a musician. She's an advocate for. There's an Asian group that she actually advocates for.
Asian stage.
Yeah, because apparently
Broadway.
the proportion of Asian actors is kind of low, so she's trying to be an advocate for inclusion for Asian actors. She's done a lot of voiceover work. She's done a lot of film work. She was in Jessica Jones.
Yep.
She's done.
Who's she playing Jessica Jones?
Her
trying to place
name was Miss Chen, is the character's name, and I'm gonna be completely honest. I haven't seen Jessica
Okay.
Jones, but I just got Netflix.
Okay.
I canceled it
What
for a
is
reason
wrong
a
with
while
you?
back. Well, there was a boycott for a reason.
We're not
Okay.
going
We're
there.
not going into it.
Okay, well, we'll go into it.
But
You gotta watch Dicejunkies if you want to know
So,
why.
Yeah.
you're gonna be getting Nicolas Cage, right? Because we were talking about Nicolas Cage.
I'm working on
Aaron.
Nicolas Cage to talk about his haunted house in New
We'll
Orleans.
get Nick.
I'm serious.
We'll get somebody with
the.
the Nicolas Cage
Send him an
mask
email.
on.
I have. I've tried.
you?
Yes, I've tried. I've gotten it. So one of the hardest parts is just getting in touch with the person of interest, because there's so many people that are blocking it, or if you're trying on their websites and stuff, it doesn't really go to them. You almost have to find which agency is the one that actually books them, and then they want to go through all this red tape, and then they say no. Because my ultimate goal is to
okay.
find one of the actors or actresses from the film Aliens. The closest I got was to get the character that played Newt.
Okay.
Her name is Carrie Hinn. She's a teacher up in Oregon, and I even sent an email to her school email address, believe it or not. And I got to her agent, and
We're
they
telling
kept
people how
saying no.
creepy you are.
Dude, I bust my ass to try to get in touch with some of these folks because, no offense, you guys are lazy, man.
Yeah. Look, man, yesterday after you did the videos, if I see him over there texting you and all these other people, I'm just like, you got Miss Mulvihill's phone number? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I know Mulvihill for
Hey,
years.
you don't have my
I've
phone
got
number.
her phone number.
You never asked.
I know. I said I really don't care.
Yeah, I'm texting you. I'm texting Miss Wood.
I
Hey,
was
your
just like, I'm
videos
just
up.
Facebook Messenger.
Here's
I
the
need
link.
something, you know?
I don't call people, so that's why. Cause if
But
I
it
get
was
your
just a
number,
funny
then
moment
you'll
today.
you're
Like-
expected a call.
Yeah, all you gotta do.
We got a guy for that.
How long have we known each other? I mean, when did
Oh, we
2
met.
days.
We actually met
Not yet.
at RavesCon.
what year was that?
You was our guest, and they was close to your, I think I was taking close to each other.
Yeah.
But what year was that?
2016.
2016? And how long have you guys been doing this before that?
We had actually just started, I think, that year. So we had been doing it for about a year at that point.
So you guys have come a long ways since. I mean, you've done a lot.
Yeah.
It's really
yeah.
impressive.
From super grainy vids being recorded on a webcam mic to
Now it's just bad
So-
audio on the game vid.
yeah.
It's a toaster, not a mic. It's a toaster.
Toaster.
Google search, Southern Geek Fest, and a lot of the videos come up for you guys.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah,
I've
because
seen
we
you
did we
guys-
did like a Rob interview, then Rob Serio. We interviewed you. We,
JL Mulvihill.
yeah, I think we may have interviewed some of the.
You guys have interviewed me
when- when-
several times.
Was Katie Wood
Yeah,
there?
we may have
Was-
gotten
was she
Katie.
at
I
that?
can't remember.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't remember where.
We covered one of their panels.
Yeah,
with
there was
Katie
I know
on
there
it.
was two other
Okay.
ladies that were authors there that we
You've
talked
been to. I like every time I go to a convention. Look, there's the Dicejunkies.
Yeah.
I know it's cool.
And then we would just meet at random places like
Some stops
rest
Truck
stops.
stops.
We know. We remember.
Yeah, I know. We ran into
They was
each other.
coming from
We're at a
Copper
rest
Flow.
stop and we're
We ended
walking
up
out of
at
the
the
restroom and
same
there's
rest
Jen
stop,
Mulvihill.
Yeah, I think our paths were destined to cross.
Destined to cross. And the funny thing is, we live in the same city.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
And we
never
had
see
met
anybody.
before.
We never see each other locally.
No, we
I
never
s-
did.
This is a
scolded-
con-only relationship. But
I scolded them yesterday for not having her on the show before. So we'll have to actually remedy that at some point in the future is to actually have you on the show live.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've been interviewed before, so
Yeah.
like several times. I
Jen's
think.
busy when she's
But
in town.
he
She's
thinks you
working.
have to be in the studio.
Oh, I would love to.
One of
I
the things
absolutely
that
love to.
well, one of the things that we have discussed
So that means I have to
frequently.
clean the studio.
You have to
Because
clean the
I can't show Miss Mulvihill.
Oh God, no! I'm staying in right now.
But one of the things that we've talked about frequently is some of the topics we would like to have a female's perspective on because
Okay.
we can't identify from that level. And I tried to get Mrs. Bloodaxe to do it, and she's camera shy. She refuses to do it. But yeah, there's some instances where we would like to know what that point of view is or how you feel about certain things. 'Cause we can only guess, you know. Plus, you're a
Because-
very interesting character.
Oh, well, thank you. You guys need like a female perspective. in
Yes,
there somewhere.
absolutely.
We had one. She moved to New Orleans.
Hugh keeps chasing them away.
That was you.
No.
It's all
Yeah.
No, she had a job opportunity out of
Ah,
state.
I
So.
see.
Well, I have a question for Jen
Oh,
because
yeah.
we've done nothing but talk about Dicejunkies. But you actually went a very different way. We like did the YouTube thing, but you actually are on Roku and a different medium. How did you start off there? 'Cause I ain't gonna lie, like I don't know anything about Roku. Like I didn't know you could get on Roku. Like I didn't know there was anyone to
Actually,
go.
it kind of fell in my lap. One of my publishers had the opportunity. It actually fell into his lap, and somehow he knew this guy, and they're like, "Hey, I've got this TV station. I need I need to put something on it." And so he started frantically throwing stuff together and putting all these shows together. And he said, Alan Gilbreth, and him and I talked a long time ago. I've been with him for I've known him since 2009, but he published my first novel in 2011 when he was doing the publishing side of everything. And we used to talk about, I would love to interview other authors and find out all about them and what their ideas are and what their writing room looks like and stuff like that. And we'd always talk about that at the cons, while we're sitting at the tables. And so he calls me up and he goes, "Remember that idea you had about interviewing people? Well, how would you like to do that now?" I was like, "Really?" He's like, how would you like to have your own show? I was like, really? My own show? Really? I would love it. So that's kind of how that happened. He's like, yeah, just line some people up. He says, I'm going to get you your first guest, Sherilyn Kenyon / McQueen. I was like, oh, really? I mean, it was quite the phone call.
I'm so jealous.
It just kind of just,
I like the way it's just like, she's just like, yeah, just here. Here.
Hey, it's called karma. You know, you put out good karma, eventually good karma.
You saying we're
comes back.
assholes?
No,
You're not wrong.
not at all. You guys are great.
We were at double-digit viewers for so long.
You guys are great. No. So that was, that's how that happened. And I have a day job, unfortunately. So I was filming Wednesday night at 7 o'clock every night. We would meet and we virtual in the guest. And I did a lot of research on all of my guests. I researched every single one of my guests to get all the information. And I had to go out and reach out. And fortunately, I know a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So when I say, hey, how would you like to be interviewed on TV? They're like, yeah. And it's a lot easier with authors because we want to promote our books.
Absolutely.
You know, and this is a good opportunity
Well,
to get our name out and promote.
I will say the author community, like of all the communities we've run across in cons, the author community was definitely the easiest to approach, and we probably met more people and got more contacts from our original contacts with various authors. Mm-hmm. I mean, you introduced us to all kinds of people, you know, and then
that was my good karma.
Yeah, and then, you know, Rob introduced us to a bunch of people, and you know, every author we've met has. I mean, it is such an interesting community of authors that seem to really be able to reach out there and embrace the you know, the nerd community or the geek community or authors or whatever. I mean, it just seems like you guys are really embracing when it comes to community. So I always thought that odd that the authors, you know, because you always you know, and you always see that author shoved up in his room that's antisocial, doesn't talk to anybody, you know.
That's while they're writing. That's while they're writing.
That's only while we're writing. Yeah.
But you go to a con, you want a good conversation, walk up to an author's table, have a conversation with them. You know, other than them selling you their book, which they probably will because they're good with words. It's the point of being an author.
You got to get the word. You got to word good. Got to word good first.
Yeah.
And just to, if you don't mind at all, like, he is right, but a lot of that thing too is because of people like Jim Mulvihill and Katie Woods and you know, Garouse area, that you are people who want to succeed, but you're also a community. Because to defend and kind of point it out, when we met comic book creators, they are way more guarded. Yeah. But when we go to their panels, the horror stories of the comic book, like, oh yeah, this person took all my art and didn't pay me and then told no one to ever hire it. Like, you're just like, it's cutthroat.
You hear that in the authors as well.
Yeah, we
I mean,
have
it happens,
our stories,
but the majority but y'all don't seem to do it each other.
No.
Like,
because,
it seems to be the companies. In the comic community, it's like, oh no, I grew up with this guy.
Yeah.
You know, and he stole. So in both to say, because I don't want to just pick on them. If you hear their stories, it's all nightmare fuel. What it's like to be a comic creator, and like, there's almost nobody we've talked to that hasn't had something stolen from them. And like, almost no comic book writer doesn't go, oh yeah, you know, I drew the first Venom or something. You're just like, you? It's like, yeah, you know.
10 minutes, I can't read.
Yeah. Talking about that this morning, Ken.
Yeah, so it's just amazing that the author community, and I think y'all did that as a reaction. Y'all have kind of said, we're going to not be like this.
Well,
but the comic book community still try to get there where they have to be guarded because it's just a cutthroat business because of people like Marvel and DC.
But we've met some really good comic book artists and people. So don't it's not everywhere, but
I'm not saying that they're mean. I'm saying they're guarded.
And really guarded.
They're defensive for a good reason.
Well, authors, a lot of people think, you know, that authors are it's a competition, and it's not. Yeah. We know it's not a competition, and therefore we help each other out. And in doing so, we also help it is a community and it's a family. And I learned that but I wasn't even published. And I had authors, saying, well, it's okay, you're not published, you write, right? You're writing a book right now, that's fine. You're an author, come with us. We're going to go do this. We're going to go do a panel. I'm like, well, I'm not qualified. Well, you write a book, right? So you're qualified. Sit on the panel with us and talk about writing. And I was just amazed. It's a totally different culture, and it's so warm and loving. And I'm sure there's some out there that aren't so warm and loving. I have met some that are interesting. We'll just leave it at that. I'll tell you that on the sideline.
But they isolate themselves when they do that. You can tell. They're the one author sitting over here by himself. No one's talking to him. The other authors are like.
And here's the other thing: if you're a person that does that, nobody's gonna buy your books. Mm-hmm. All the other authors, if you're not, like, say you're not interested in buying my book, I'll say, well, what do you like to read? And they say, well, I like to read horror. Okay, well, I know some people who write some great horror, and I can tell you whose books you should buy.
Yeah.
But if someone acts like a turd, I'm not going to suggest their books to anybody.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things you can see out on the con floor here, is a lot of
We're
the
not at
authors.
CoastCon. Everyone's great at CoastCon.
Well, no, I mean, a lot of the authors, if you look at the books they have their books, and a lot of them will have, oh, well, this is a book of a friend, they're not here, I just bring a couple of their books.
Ms. Mulvihill, literally, I walked up, I'd be like, do you have a new book? It's like, no, this is a friend of mine's book. And I'm like, how good a friend is that? And it's right next to your book. Like my book, another person's book.
I've been promoting other people since before I was published.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. I'm just used to it. It feels natural.
I think there used to be a group, the local group.
And Magicopter.
Yeah.
That I used to do that for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we promoted, this was way before I was published. I would go out on the road to all these conventions at my own expense, and I would promote. I had a whole list of authors, and I even made these little paper or cardboard books out of their covers, because I couldn't sell their books, but I would promote their books and give everyone their cards and say, you should read this book, it's a great book. I did that for years. So, yeah, it's just old hat now.
It's all karma.
Yeah, apparently you got karma. Congratulations.
I'm going to give you some of my karma, okay? That you lost. Lost your shave.
You know what? That must be where all your bad luck was coming from.
Yeah.
No. But anyway, I have a quick question. I don't know how much time we have. So this is my favorite question. Huh?
About 5.
Okay, well, you'll have to make quick
He's
answers
that
to this.
effective. He even knows how much time
This
is
is
left.
You don't do quick answers.
favorite question to ask everybody. Okay? So there's a natural disaster or a pandemic or something or whatever, and you're trapped in a cabin in the middle of the woods. What are the 3 things that you absolutely want to have with you? Or it doesn't know that you have. We're not talking food and water, the basics, but like a wubby or a book or what? What are the 3 things?
So comfort items.
Yeah.
My computer.
Okay.
Oh, you got. I was just thinking like, no. I was going to say the internet. Just be your computer.
Just because, for one, there's 2 reasons why my computer. Because even if there's no power, there's things on there that I don't want anybody else to get.
We have a death pact. We've always said we destroy each other's computers.
I always want that close.
Okay.
Other than that, oh man, I mean, I'm not a very material person, so I mean, give me a Dr. Pepper and probably my vape, and I have vices. I don't have materials. I have vices.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. What are your 3?
Solar panels, rod and reel, and
He's going survivalist.
Yeah.
oh yeah, no survivalist. And I don't know if I can bring the bullet press with the guns or if I have to just choose the guns, because I'm assuming my family comes with me.
That'd be a
Because that would've been my number 1.
That's all part of the.
But
yeah.
I am the protector and provider for my family. I've always have been. And just like I take care of these guys on the editing and loading of videos and the interaction with people. I take care of my family.
All right, quit being sappy. Move on.
Well, no, but I would want to be able to continue to provide for them, and with the power, the kids can still charge for their tablets.
Well,
and I can play my
you could make
computer.
a bow and arrow. I mean,
Well, hopefully, if it's a cabin on a lake, a rod and reel, I could fish.
yeah, no, I got that. I'm
But-
just saying.
But yeah, bow and arrow,
If you
I
don't
could
have the
manufacture.
gun, you
Yeah,
can make a bow and arrow.
yeah.
You just-
In that case, then I would have to have some kind of fillet knife or Bowie knife in order to be able to skin
So
the
you need a weapon, is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Q?
Okay.
Well, I was going to try to cheat and get all three of your first answers together by saying the internet, hoping that implied both power and my computer. So I was trying to do those broad answers. And then the second one was weapons with an S. You can tell I've been doing this longer. I've been planning my genie's wishes. I know how to say it. There was going to be the internet, so that applies to power. It was going to be the weapons. And if I have the internet, let me tell you why, though. Because if I have the internet, then I can make both. I have the access to all those YouTube channels to learn how to filter water, to learn how to do all of this. Y'all know, I fixed parts of my car just by going on the internet, and I love it. There's a little old lady who does car repairs. And because it's a little lady, I refuse to lose to her. So I've learned how to do things because I'm like, if she can change her headlight, I can change my headlight. Because when you see a little lady go like, well, if I could do it, you could do it. And I was like, is that a challenge? I'm down. He saw me. I was down. You remember I was down on the ground. It's wet. I'm on the ground pulling this light out of the
He's having to borrow tools because for some reason this man has no tools in his house. So he's just like, you got one of those screwdrivers with the...
I have weapons.
How do you not have tools?
We got 2
If
minutes.
you have weapons, then you have everyone's tools.
We got 2 minutes. I got a question for you.
Okay.
It's a question we recently had on the
Let me
show,
get the third
and
one.
I'm very disappointed in his answer on this question because it was just really dark and twisted. So, if you knew you had 24 hours to live, what is the top thing on your bucket list?
Our answers were terrible.
24 hours to live is the top thing on my bucket list.
The one thing you have to do before you were to die. It was, by the way, this was on the something horrible table, so we went with the whole dark ending, but I tried to point out, what's your dream bucket list item?
Oh my gosh. There's so many though.
I know,
That's
hard to pick
that's the
one.
challenge.
It
You gotta pick
is.
one.
I think right now in my mind, I would like to go to Ireland with my husband.
Mine was travel as well. The
Yeah.
pyramids of Giza.
Yeah.
You two are very reasonable human beings. Ours were horrible.
But yeah, that's a very good answer.
Both me and Zeno basically like mentioned our kill list. not bad people. Well, no, bad people. Like it was like,
bad
well,
people.
His was dark. Yours was.
I wanted to go like the Punisher,
We need
and it
to-
was like I'm gonna go like take out like dictators.
Oh
You
my
know?
gosh.
All right, we got 1 minute left.
wrap up.
What is your normal outro? Like, I mean, you do an outro for your show?
I do. I can't remember it. It's been 2 years now.
I'm Marissa Lindsay, and he keeps them different. Here.
Basically, it's pretty much keep reading, keep writing, and we'll change the world one story at a time.
Amen.
Oh, wow. Ours is more promotional. So ours
Go for
is...
it.
Find
Thank you
us
for
on
watching
Twitter.
Dice Junkies. Be sure to check us out on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, all that great stuff. You can watch us live every Sunday at 3:30 Central Time on Twitch TV/Dice Junkies. And as every week,
We hope you enjoy.
Peace out.
Just a player, just a player, just a player playing the damn game.
Every house is haunted in the world. Are you kidding me?
Everyone in Nicolas Cage's house is haunted.
Well, Nicolas Cage is
Nicolas
haunted.
Cage. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I love Nicolas Cage. Don't get me wrong. He's awesome.
but he's Nicolas Cage.
I mean, there's people you say has their demons. I believe Nicolas Cage has literal
I have
demons.
to say that Nicolas Cage was so hot in Valley Girls. Oh my God.